As a kid, the first console I grew up with was the Super Nintendo, and I played it every day. Classic games such as the Mario games, A Link to the Past, Donkey Kong Country, F-Zero, and so on. But there was one game that stood out from the rest, and that was Secret of Evermore. This was the first RPG game I played, and the idea of having experience points, building up your characters, buying and selling items, stuff like that was a new thing for me, and I loved it. Unlike those other games, the fact that defeating enemies had a permanent effect on your characters was very enjoyable. I could spend hours going around defeating enemies just to see my characters getting stronger and get more items and money to buy stuff. The game changes scenery all throughout the game. You can find yourself in a marshland and then 30 minutes later you're in the middle of a desert. It's always exciting to see the new places and cultures. It's that special kind of feeling when you get to a new town and you buy the newest equipment. It's an awesome game, and it introduced me to other great RPGs such as Breath of Fire and the Final Fantasy games. But I always find myself coming back to this game whenever I'm in the mood for some good old RPG. Resident Evil for the GameCube.
Not quite your ordinary house, that's for sure.
This is, without a doubt, the best Resident Evil game to date, and for good reasons. It took everything that made the original good and multiplied it several times. Featuring amazing graphics for the GameCube, with zombies you were actually afraid of. They added this brilliant catch to the zombies that when you kill them, they would morph into Crimson Heads. Funny enough, that's where I got my name, Crimson AE. The game has two characters that you can play as, and they both have copious amounts of alternative cutscenes and endings depending on how you play the game.
Chris, take a piece of the action.
The game also includes different game modes, such as Real Survival, where the automatic aiming is turned off, and the item boxes are not linked with each other. And you can only play it on the hardest difficulty setting. Then there's invisible enemies, which I believe I don't have to explain. Then a grenade zombie which will hunt you down and you're not allowed to hurt it. And it will appear in places you'll never expect. Every time I play this game, I notice something new, and even to this day, it still scares me one way or another. It's my favorite survival horror game, and I can see myself play through it a lot more in the near future. Castlevania for the Nintendo 64.
Are you being serious?
Yes, I'm serious.
Come on,
I'm serious! Okay, I know a lot of people dislike this game, and some people even ignorantly hate it for all the wrong reasons. But Castlevania offers great gameplay for those who are willing to get used to the camera and controls. There's nothing I enjoyed more than fighting the vampires in an intense battle. There's two characters you can play as, and they both have unique stages and cutscenes. The game has a lot of stages, and with challenging boss fights that I never grow tired of. In fact, this game still has my favorite boss battle in any game I've ever played. The last boss will wreck your shits with non-stop attacks such as big waves, flames, fire dragons that will chase you constantly, and nuclear bombs. The music is nothing but awesome. It fits every stage perfectly, and the only places where there is no music is when it fits the mood, like in the Forest of Silence. Every time I play the game, I always try to find new challenges for myself, such as beating the game without using the whip or without looting anything other than key items. All in all, it's a very underrated game, and I wish more people could give it the chance it deserves. The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. I couldn't decide which one I liked the most, so they tie for second place. There's nothing I can say that hasn't been said a million times about these games. They are simply masterpieces. While the two share the same game engine, they are very different. While Ocarina of Time focuses more on the classic style with Ganondorf, Zelda, and lots of dungeons with bosses, Majora's Mask is more time-based and focuses more on the adventures outside the dungeons. In Ocarina of Time, you could basically just go from temple to temple without having to do much outside of them. But in Majora's Mask, you had to do quests and solve problems in order to just enter the dungeons. That made it much more exciting when you finally entered it. Nonetheless, they are both awesome in their own way. The only thing that kept these games from being number one is the fact that after playing the games numerous times, you just wish you could skip the cutscenes and continue on with the game. With an amazing soundtrack and top tier gameplay, These games are something I will never grow tired of, and I will definitely be playing them every so often for the rest of my life.
The last Metroid is in captivity. The galaxy is at peace.
Super Metroid. Whoo boy, this game will kick your ass till diarrhea comes out of your dick. From beginning to end, it's like a roller coaster you never want to get out of. After the 10 first minutes, the game just throws you into this massive world for you to explore, and from here on out, it's just non-stop pure action platforming goodness. The enemies and bosses are so cool and well thought out, and it's very fun getting new powers and exploring new places. This game is so enjoyable that it doesn't need different difficulty settings or game modes to keep me coming back to it. With flawless gameplay and astounding music, this is the holy grail of video games.